How am I going to introduce today's guest? He's been DJing for years and years. He coined the term rare groove, and he's the first DJ to have received an MBE for services to music. Norman J. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a real pleasure.
I'm glad you were economical with that intro.
What was your MBE for?
My MBE was for services to music, and I'm still very happy to be able to boast that I'm still the only DJ in the world who has received an MBE specifically for services to DJing and music. On that note, I'm very pleased on both counts. A, it was a recognition for the profession I'm in, and B, for the services and achievements in that profession.
Do you do a lot of charity work around your music?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for UNICEF and
oh, wow.
Prince's Trust and smaller, sort of more Afro-Caribbean charities as well.
Do you take like an active interest in those charities, or is it just a case of turning up and playing music and supporting the cause?
If I'm really honest, I like the way that I allow myself to be used in the process of raising the funds. I just use, what power is available to me to help A, awareness, and B, to raise the funds. So.
Well, music is such a great communication tool.
Yeah, music is...
There's no doubt that it really brings in support and gives a platform effectively to those charities.
Absolutely. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Music is great.
Do you do any production for music, or is it...
No, I mean, I dabble occasionally, but I have to confess, it's never been something that's really grabbed me or, made me want to go down that direction. I've got 2 sons and a nephew who are actively, making music, writing music, producing music.
Oh, really? They're chasing the music career as well?
No, they're not. I've advised them against that, and they're cleverer than that. I mean, in this day and age, the game, when I came into the game, it was completely different. What with the advent of the internet and everything like that, that music model no longer exists. It's a 20th century anachronism. In the 21st century, where people, mostly kids, are used to clicking download for free, that whole game has now changed. I would never advise anyone necessarily to get into it unless it's something they feel it's a vocation that they really, 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 really want to do.
I guess the difference between when you started DJing and the music industry today, there are so many more avenues to put music out there. It's almost like the market has become saturated by the amount of people who are trying to push our music. Everyone is trying to push it.
Absolutely.
Whereas back then, the channels were a lot narrower, so you could have a lot more say effectively in the music.
But that doesn't make it wrong. I think, that's democracy at work. The whole process of the way we approach music, the way we value it, it's completely different. So, just by the very nature of that means it's not really sustainable. If the kids keep taking the music for free, soon there will be no music.
Absolutely.
Well, what would be the incentive to make it? If you can't, you will always have the creative process, and the creative process is important because it gives people the platform to express themselves. So people will always make music. People will always love music. But whether people will be able to sustain any kind of career from it is questionable.
But you said that you advise your sons and your nephew to avoid the music industry completely.
Only, don't give up the day job. While it remains a hobby, then you're really able to enjoy it. Play with a smile on your face, make music with a smile on your face. There is no pressure. But when it becomes something that you have to do in order to pay your mortgage or pay your rent, run your car,
that's when it gets serious.
Comes pressures, and in a lot of instances that kind of distorts the creative process and puts stress on the creative process.
Are you getting involved with any of the Olympic shenanigans?
I hope to. Whether that'll be legally or illegally, I hope to make some contribution.
Yeah.
This is too big an event for me not to somehow be involved. Not necessarily in the athletics or the staging of the event, but certainly.
So we can't expect you running along the course or anything.
Well, I give Usain Bolt a run for his money in my dreams. But in all seriousness, though, it's going to be a fantastic place to be. For Londoners and young visitors who are into, nightclubbing, nightlife, music, performing arts, fashion. You know, London leads the way for that. You know, and the spotlight, the eyes of the world, will be on London.
You mentioned that you were taking a sabbatical this year from the carnival to pursue other interests. Are they music related or just
no?
other
Contrary
stuff?
to the perception of me, you know, I'm not a 24-hour muso. I don't live and breathe music and catalogue numbers. For me, it's like a busman's holiday. You know, I've got family. I've got regular things which, you know, stimulate me and stimulate my mind creatively. So that every time you come back to music, you're always fresh.
Right.
You need that. You know, man doesn't survive on meat alone or vegetables alone. There must be variety.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's equating that work-life balance.
So
I'm
what are we
very happy.
talking?
I'm very content.
Yeah. So what are we talking here? Are we talking like reading or art or yoga?
No, not necessarily that.
Sprinting.
I've always been into sort of youth culture. You know, I actively support my Premier League football team, Spurs. I've got young nephews, young niece. You know, I spend a lot of time with them.
Cool.
And I seldom complain about my situation.
When
you know, people around me have just lost their jobs. People around me are dying of cancer. You know, people around me, you know, really seeing seriously hard times in this austere time in England.
I guess it's easy to miss how much the economy is affecting, particularly young people. I think they just announced that there's 1 in 5 young people between 16 and 24 are unemployed, which is awful, really.
Well, the youth have to get out there again and become political and challenge the status quo. For me, you know, I became disenchanted with the younger people. You know, I came from the era of, you know, first generation punks, you know, who challenged everything.
Anarchy and freedom.
You know,
and all that was my impression of a punk.
I took part in that, you know, in the anti-apartheid thing. So kids have got no causes, and I'm really, really glad that the students decided we're not going to let the government take the piss out of us and put up our, you know, our tuition fees. Yeah, you can't just passively sit back and let that happen. You know, you're going to be the custodians of this country in time, so you have to make sure that these old bleep don't screw it up.
What do you make of all the protests around the world, like the Occupy Wall Street and the Occupy?
I'm fully in support of that. Trust me. At last, we're waking up and the coffee smells great. Yeah, got to. Because these fat old men who just get richer and richer, you know, mugging us off.
But do you feel that protests, do they have enough of an impact to change things?
Yeah, of course.
Do you think people are going to take note of these protests and think, wow, we really need to,
you know, what you protest about today, you know, your children will benefit from tomorrow.
So did you use music back in the day as a kind of way to speak out?
Absolutely. It was the making of me. You know, when I first got involved in playing music, obviously I love songs. I love songs about, you know, human emotion, you know, love, melancholy. I love all of that, but I also love protest songs, message in the music, positive people who've got something to say. You know, people who light the fuse and wake you up to certain realities that you're deaf or blind to, that you need to know. Yeah, I always use music politically that way. I always said, you know, there's always a message in the music for those who have ears to hear it.
Was there a statement that you were trying to put across, or was it more just supporting?
Just
that genre?
Supporting. You know, I'm not a politician. You know, I'm not a radical. You know, all I want, like the majority of people, is just some measure of fairness.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'll tell you what, Norman, if you were a politician, I'd definitely vote for you. I mean, I'd be like, yeah, we've got to get this guy in power. He's a right
I
dude.
can't be dealing with all that. I'm just a barroom orator, actually, who doesn't drink.
I guess, though, with all the pirate radio scene, which you grew up with, and then taking that to Kiss FM when it was a pirate station, and coining Rare Groove as well, it's all part of that speaking out.
Yeah, well, if we didn't do that back then, we wouldn't be doing this now. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. We fought for the right to party. You know, we fought for the right to put our music on the radio. You know, if we didn't face those challenges, we wouldn't be enjoying the music scene, the club scene that we enjoy today, believe me.